Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. Yes, F1 is back after 4 weeks away. 4 weeks that I've got to say absolutely flew by. And this is a race I genuinely look forward to every single season, partly because it tends to be the first one after that summer break. So we've had a bit of a wait for F1 to return, but also it's Spa. And well, yeah, what a track. Really hyped for this one. Now, before we get into the preview proper, there is actually something to clear up ahead of the weekend, and seeing as it's been a few weeks since it all happened, I thought it was well worth a quick reminder. So, following the Hungarian Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel was disqualified from his second place finish because stewards were not able to take a 1 litre fuel sample from his car, something they have to do after the race as per the regulations. Aston Martin requested a right of review, which was dismissed by the FIA, and the team later decided not to pursue a full appeal. Therefore, Vettel was officially disqualified, and that meant Lewis Hamilton was moved up to second place in the final result behind race winner Esteban Ocon, with Carlos Sainz taking the final step on the podium, and Kimi Raikkonen was promoted into a points-paying position as well. All of that means that ahead of the second half of the season, the championship standings look like this. Lewis Hamilton is top of the championship, 8 points clear of Max Verstappen in second, with Lando Norris still up there in third place. And then we've got Valtteri Bottas fourth, Sergio Perez fifth, Carlos Sainz in sixth, seventh for Leclerc, eighth for Gasly, ninth for Ricciardo, and 10th for Esteban Ocon. Of course, because of his disqualification, Sebastian Vettel dropping out of that top 10, where he would have been if he kept those 18 points. And in the constructors' standings, Mercedes are top of the table, 303 points, Red Bull second on 291. And then we've got Ferrari in third place on countback, McLaren in fourth, tied on points though, loving that battle between those two teams this season. Alpine up to fifth after their fantastic weekend, AlphaTauri sixth, Aston Martin down in seventh, Williams 8th place, 10 points, great to see, Alfa Romeo in ninth, and Haas are yet to score in 10th. That is it for Hungary though, and so now it's on to the famous Spa circuit for round 12 of the season, and the first race of another triple header, and the first race of a run of potentially up to 12 races between now and the middle of December. It is going to get hectic, but bring it on. A lap of the famous circuit is a long one at 7.004 kilometres, that is 4.352 miles if you would prefer, and has a total of 19 corners, 10 to the left and 9 to the right, and when it comes to the race on Sunday, we should see a total of 44 racing laps. There will be 2 DRS zones available this weekend, with one running down the short start-finish straight and the other along the Kemmel straight between turns 4 and 5. That DRS zone can get a little bit OP, but we should see some overtaking into that chicane. The race lap record is held by Valtteri Bottas, who popped in a 146.286 in 2018, but the fastest ever lap around the track is a 141.252, and that was set by Lewis Hamilton on his way to pole position last year. A pole position he would go on to convert into victory, leading home a Mercedes 1-2 with Max Verstappen finishing in third place. When it comes to the tyres, everyone's favourite thing for the weekend, Pirelli has gone middle of the compound range again. And I say again because that was the case last year. Different constructions and all of that though. So that's the hard C2, the medium C3 and the soft C4. The top 3 last season all ran an identical strategy, which was a medium to hard one-stopper. And although some were using different compounds, most of the field also one-stopped. Although, must be said, strategy was heavily influenced by the safety car, which was brought out on lap 11 following Antonio Giovinazzi's big crash, a wheel of course, from which collecting George Russell's Williams as well. And that incident handed everyone a free pit stop, and with an 80% chance of a safety car being deployed at Spa, it could easily influence things again this weekend. If we don't see one though, and if the race stays dry, teams will, surprise, surprise, likely push for a one-stopper again, although some tyre management would probably be needed, but we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get a good mix of strategies in use. The big question is though, will it stay dry? Well, according to the forecast at time of recording, no, it will not stay dry. Right now, Friday is set to start dry but foggy with rain moving in for the afternoon, so we could see a wet FP2. Saturday is currently forecast to have a dry start as well, with rain once again rolling in the afternoon, with the official F1 forecast saying there's a 60% chance of showers that could affect quali. And it is all very similar on Sunday with a dry morning and a wet afternoon, but the risk of rain is a little bit lower at 40%, so as Martin Brundle would say, that means there's a 60% chance it will stay dry. Now, some apps and forecasts tell a similar story, with some even claiming it's guaranteed to rain all weekend, but all of them expect some sort of rain at some stage of the event. Plus, it's Spa, and as we've seen many times before, the weather can be very unpredictable. It's one of those tracks that seems to have its own climate, and that's another F1 cliche out of the way for you. Just super quickly as well, keep an eye on the pit stops this weekend. I'm not going to go into it today, but there are changes coming into effect in Belgium to, I suppose you could say, police pit stops a little bit better, and they are focused around safety because these stops are just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And although the controversial aspects like the minimum reaction times for wheelgun operators have been dropped, it will be interesting to see if any of the changes introduced make much, if any, difference at all. It's not expected to, but again, it will be interesting to keep an eye on that one. If you would like to know a little bit more, by the way, I will try to find an article that'll explain things a little bit for you as well and pop a link in the description down below so you can have a read, but let's move on for now. And your schedule for the weekend's action is pretty much the standard for most European races, to be honest. So FP1 on Friday will get underway at 10:30 a.m. BST and will run for the usual 1 hour, with FP2 starting from 2 p.m. FP3 on Saturday morning starts at 11, and that is followed by qualifying later that afternoon starting at 2 p.m. And it is, as you'd expect, lights out for the race at 2 on Sunday afternoon. Right then, before I get on to some driver form and make some more dreadful predictions, let's run through some fast facts courtesy of Lights Out blog. Since its debut on the World Championship calendar all the way back in 1950, the circuit has hosted a total of 53 Belgian Grand Prix. In that time, 27 different drivers have taken wins, the first being Juan Manuel Fangio and the most recent Lewis Hamilton. The 1997 Belgian Grand Prix was the first ever F1 race to start behind a safety car, and that was due to a sudden heavy downpour of rain just before the start of the Grand Prix. It takes around 22 seconds to drive through the pits without stopping, meaning assuming a 2-second tyre change, a pit stop will lose drivers around about 24 seconds. And 30 years ago, a driver named Michael Schumacher made his first ever F1 start, driving the Jordan 191, filling in for Bertrand Gachot. Schumacher qualified 7th but retired just after Eau Rouge on lap 1 due to a clutch failure. However, despite his short race, the German had done enough to impress Flavio Briatore, who signed him up for Benetton for the next event. The rest, as they say, is history. Moving on, let's run through some driver form, and as ever, I've got 5 to look at for you, starting with Lewis Hamilton, who has actually won the Belgian Grand Prix a total of 4 times and has finished on the podium in each of the last 6 seasons. Strong form. In fact, when he's made it to the flag, he has only failed to finish on the podium once, and that was a 4th place finish in 2007. Then again, he has failed to finish 4 times at Spa with back-to-back DNFs in 2011 and 2012. The Brit has also secured 6 poles and has only failed to make Q3 on 2 occasions. Max Verstappen finished 8th on his Spa F1 debut in 2015, and I think it's fair to say has had a mixed run of form since. He's failed to finish at the circuit twice and failed to score in 2016 where he finished 11th for Red Bull. However, he has finished on the podium in Belgium twice, and that was in 2018 and last year 2020, of course. 2015 is the only year where he has failed to make it into Q3, and that was the only time he has been out-qualified by a teammate at the track. Charles Leclerc is another driver with a mixed bag of form. In fact, I'd even argue he seems to have an all-or-nothing run at Belgium at the moment. He was wiped out in Turn 1 in 2018, won from pole in 2019, and only managed to drag his Ferrari to a 14th place finish last year. Aside from his 1 pole position, Leclerc has qualified 13th at both of his other appearances, but has never been out-qualified by a teammate. Esteban Ocon actually made his F1 debut in Spa with Manor, gotta miss that team, back in 2016 where he finished P16. Since then, he has scored every year at the track, with 9th in 2017, 6th in 18 and 5th last year. If you remember as well, he also qualified 3rd in 2018 for the newly named Racing Point Force India team, as they were then. Ocon has made it into Q3 at every appearance, 2016 aside. I should also add that P3 on the grid is the only time he has out-qualified a teammate at Spa. And Nicholas Latifi, point scoring, Nicholas Latifi might I add, made his F1 debut at the circuit last year, qualifying 19th in his Williams before going on to finish P16 in the race. Prior to F1, Latifi's best result was an F2 sprint race victory in 2018, his only win at the track in that series. He also took 8th in the feature race that same year. Here we go then, time for my usual round of predictions. Chances are you'll probably completely disagree with these and they will be very wrong, but you can let me know your picks for the weekend in the comments section down below as always. Now, for the last few races, I've been backing Verstappen, but I've also consistently said that we could well be looking at Verstappen versus Hamilton for much of the rest of this season. I have to be honest, without any drama, it does feel as though those two are in a league of their own at the moment. So I'm going to stand by that with most of my predictions between now and Abu Dhabi. This weekend, though, I'm going to hedge my bets again. Surprise, surprise. If it does rain, I think that will just give both drivers even more of an edge over the rest of the pack. And so I'm going to go similar, in fact, the same to Hungary and say Hamilton for pole on Saturday, but Verstappen to take the win on Sunday. He could actually really do with a win as well, following a very difficult, let's put it that way, couple of races. I'm going to predict it's going to be close between the two of them, though, and it could go either way, which is absolutely fine. Can't wait for it. Bring it on. Behind them, Valtteri Bottas seems to struggle when the rain falls. I think that's fair to say. So I'm actually not going to back him for a podium. Instead, I'm going to say that it will be a battle between Sergio Perez and Lando Norris for that final step on the podium. And you know what? I always go with the top two teams when it comes to the podium. So let's mix things up a little bit and say that Norris pips him to that P3. Maybe that's not a bold prediction, but it's a different one. Checo P4. I will also say that I reckon McLaren will just have the edge over Ferrari this weekend, and I would not be at all surprised to see the Scuderia also in with a shot of a podium if anyone at the front does struggle for pace. For example, Bottas. I'm not having a go at him. It's just that he does seem to have issues when the rain falls, so that opens the door for the midfield to potentially snatch a good result. My one to watch this weekend is going to be Lance Stroll, I think, because he can be pretty handy in damp and cold conditions. So keep an eye on Stroll. He could get a good result this weekend, and I will go with a top 7 finish. That does feel a little bit bold. Aston Martin, a little bit inconsistent, of course. I guess we'll see. And my bold prediction, which I will completely accept, is 100% emotional and based on no logic whatsoever, is that we will see some chaos in the wet that enables Mick Schumacher to pick up a point on pretty much the anniversary of his dad's F1 debut. Again, that is all emotion and nothing else. That is it, though, for the Belgian Grand Prix preview, but don't forget to let me know your predictions and your thoughts ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Who have you got for pole position? Who do you think will win the race, and what is your top 3? Now, I will be back soon with some more content. As always, there should be more videos as the days and weeks progress now that we're into the second half of the season. And don't forget to join us live on Sunday shortly after the race for some immediate race reaction. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help out the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.